Well, thank you, everybody, and welcome to Indianapolis. So everybody got here with no problems, no delays, it was smooth sailing. Is that right? Let's see the hands of everybody that had that. Yeah. How many had some delays? Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we are just thrilled to have you in Indianapolis, and I want to just do a shout-out as well to some of these sponsors. I noticed my beloved alma mater, Elanco, is here. Anybody here from Elanco, or are they still arriving? Well, I'm delighted that they're sponsoring, and I also see that our colleagues with the Indiana Soybean Alliance and Indiana Pork are in that mix as well. Folks, if you haven't figured it out, we're going to have a big dance here coming up in a little while. The NCAA Final Four is coming to town. How many of you have seen the great big 165-foot-high bracket on the J.W. Marriott? Did you see that? There you go. Where are you from? Western North Carolina. Well, I was just thinking, I know the Kentucky folks have already ordered many tickets. You're Kentucky? Let's see, who would have figured? Either that or Duke, right? All that blue. Indiana and Indianapolis is a sports-crazy town, and in fact, it is the strategy that led to the revival of our wonderful city. Amateur sports capital of the world, self-proclaimed, but I think there's some truth to back that up. And I want you to know that it's that strategy that really led those of us in Indiana agriculture to really rethink how we want to brand Indiana agriculture. It is what led to our going after and chasing aggressively the National FFA Center, which, if you haven't seen it, is just up on the northwest part of town. We're very proud of that. It's how we brought the National FFA Convention to town, that wonderful 7-year run that ended in 12, but they'll be back next year through 18 and maybe, just maybe beyond. So we're thrilled that Indianapolis is such a sports town, but it's also so much of an agriculture town, and it's why I think it's doubly pleasurable to have you here. Folks, I love what you're doing. I rediscovered what NIAA was doing in my wonderful 4 years back at Elanco. I think the fact that you've chosen antibiotics as one of your major thrusts is a credit to those of you who are doing that. I don't know that there's a lot of organizations that would have the cred to do that, and I think this group does. And so help me, I hope you're successful. I happen to be an insider during my time at Elanco, and I know some of the facts that the American consuming public does not have. And oh my, we have to share the facts of what's going on. We cannot lose the many tools that have been developed safely with great research and undergirding and underpinning to those that might see a different way of producing or not producing livestock, as it were. I also want to compliment you. I noticed that you've got an aquatics committee. I think that's fairly recent. Boy, we're focused on that in Indiana as well. We're having so many inquiries on people that want to produce shrimp or tilapia or perch or, you name it, even eel, for goodness sake. And we're going for it. We believe there's an opportunity for aquatic agriculture in states like Indiana and yours as well. So I think this is a rebirth time in many ways for agriculture across the U.S. I think you've probably heard from many. We're between the 7 and the 9. It was a couple years ago in November that the Wall Street Journal carried a picture of a little Filipino baby, and that was the 7 billionth person on the planet. Now, how the hell the Wall Street Journal figured out that was the 7 billionth person is beyond me, but it was the Wall Street Journal and not the New York Times, so I'll accept the fact that it's true. The issue here is we cannot leave to our grandchildren that we're going to have 9 billion people on the planet by 2050. We would be terribly remiss if we just took a pass and said, I'll do my part and then leave it to my grandkids. A great deal of the peak in protein demand is more like 2020, 2025 because of the rise in demand of protein out of Asia. And we cannot neglect that. So I hope this protein can be delivered to them in whatever form they want it. We know, because I've been there several times, love their rice. They don't want to just eat rice. They want, usually starting with some dairy, they want some dairy. And then in China, it's usually pork. In India and Indonesia, it's chicken. And the last time I checked, we in the U.S., selfishly, we here in Indiana do a pretty good job producing protein and shipping it to these places. So that's what gets me up in the morning, is thinking that maybe, just maybe, we're going to help provide a little bit of protein for somebody that's never had it, or at least had as much. Let me just draw this close to home. Within a 1 mile radius of this hotel, 1 mile radius, about 80% of the kids in the schools are on the free or reduced school lunch and now breakfast program. And it's the same in your communities. It's not unique to Indianapolis. If you check, it's that way in local schools. It's rural communities. It's most certainly urban programs. And so the degree to which we in agriculture can produce a very good product, healthy, safe, and oh, by the way, least cost, I think lifts all of us up. And that's another reason why I'm here. Let me speak to your subject of water. Boy, we are diving deep into that topic, no pun intended. I've worked around water issues most of my life. A lot of it was when I was with Dow AgriSciences, and we were always worried about, water-soluble agricultural chemicals finding their way into some water stream. And then, of course, at Elanco Animal Health, it's all the things in terms of water use that livestock require, livestock, that might be working their way through streams and so forth. And I love the topic. Let me tell you just briefly what we're doing in Indiana, among other things. We noted that we have not received the funds from the feds, and we in the state can't possibly produce the funds to do all the water quality monitoring that we'd like. It's just not there. One really good stream monitoring system can cost up to $1 million. It's just not there. Well, we're not satisfied to do nothing. So what we've done is taken a Region 5 EPA model and formed an incredible collaborative partnership with our friends at the NRCS and our friends at the local level, the SWCDs. And every practice that our people, our friends with NRCS or the locals do, it may be a grass swale in some erodible land, it may be filter strips right along a creekway, it most certainly is cover crops. Holy smokes, that lights up the maps in terms of retaining sediment or nitrogen or phosphorus on the land where it belongs. We're putting all that in the database, and we're recording. We now have 4 years of data on how much we've retained on the soil. Now, this Region 5 model is not a panacea. It's not the kind that's going to have all the bells and whistles that require a PhD to run it. But so help me, we're telling the public that we're doing something about it in agriculture. And at minimum, it's getting us some style points, and it's getting us a place at the table to have dialogue. And to me, that's worth a lot. We're reaching out. No offense to my very good friend Bill Northey in Iowa, but we're reaching out to our utility companies, and they're collaborating with us. We think we might have a loaned executive, maybe 2 or maybe 3, who are working with us on these practices, so that they're not suing agriculture, but instead they're collaborating with us. So, this is the strategy that we have, is big-time focus on the capital C, collaboration. And for that reason, we're delighted that you're here, because that's what you're all doing here, is you're collaborating to figure all this stuff out and do well by our beloved agriculture. So, I'm a big fan of what you're doing. When I learned that you're coming to town, we sort of said yes, yes, absolutely yes. And if there's anything that we at the Department of Ag can do to help you, let me know. Let me ask, how many of you out there are with departments of Ag in our other states, our colleagues? Well done. Well, welcome to Indiana, and on behalf of the Indiana Department of Ag, we love what you do, and we certainly enjoy working with your colleagues. And how many of you here are state veterinarians that might be in those? Yeah, you guys do God's work. You guys are the front line sometimes on these things. Well, I tell you what, Brett Marsh, our state veterinarian, is one of my very best friends, one of the most competent that I know, and so it too is part of our collaboration. So, before you leave the city, drop a few dollars at St. Elmo's and have a really, really good steak, or if you're in aquatics, there's some of that as well. Get a photo with the NCAA bracket, and I hope you enjoy your stay, because we'd love to have you back again, and again. Thank you for being here. Welcome, and good luck with your conference.